Good morning, friends. Shalom Aleichem, Ruchim Haba, Mefrechen Chanukah. We're continuing in Mishabro Daf Hashavos Siman Kuf Yud Daled. Today we begin with Siv Vav. Ba'med Dvar Mamurim. When were these words spoken that you have to go back in the rainy season if you didn't say Mashrach Mard HaGoshem? Mishmach Siu No Seik Shalom Rabbi Meir Mard HaGoshem. Hainu Kisha Siyem Kol HaBracha. That is, you finish the whole bracha. Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayim Mesim. V'Hizcha Bracha Sha'achra. And you began the next bracha, you said Atah. V'oz Chozer Reshatzor. Then you got to start from the beginning. Avol im nizkar koydem shesiyam bracha. But if you remembered before you finished the bracha, you remembered yomer b'makom sheniskar, you remember wherever you are. We saw last time in Sivkat and Chavtes that the Rabbanon, the Chama, were not misaking any specific spot where you need to say the Mashrach Mard HaGoshem. Va'afilu im siyem habracha, even if you finish the bracha. V'nizkar koydam shehischal ata kadosh, and you remembered before you began ata kadosh. Ein tzarich lachzar, you don't have to go back. Ela oimer mashiv haruach Mard HaGoshem b'loy chasima. So in other words, you said Baruch Atah Hashem Mechaya Mesin Oivai. I forgot Mashrach Mard HaGoshem. And I was mechavin for 30 minutes in all these kavanas in the first bracha Shemana Esrei. Now I have to go back? No, don't worry. Just say Mashiv Harach Mard HaGoshem without any chasima. Hagosh Shloisha brachos rishonos chashuvas ka'achas. The first three brachos are considered like one. Uv'chol makim shetah behem. Whenever you make a mistake in the first three, choiz the rosh, you go back to the beginning. Bein shehu yachid, bein shehu tzibor. Whether you're an individual or whether you're a tzibor. I told you the story. I once had Ne'ilah, the chazan for Ne'ilah, made the mistake. Baruch atah Adoshem hakel hakadosh. And I was in the middle of Shemana Esrei. So I didn't know what to do. So I got up and I stood out of my Shemana Esrei. I went back to the chazan. I motioned him. He has to start from the beginning of Ne'ilah. I told him to skip all the piyutim and go again. Okay, that's what happened. Ma'aseh Shaya. Anyway, hopefully I did the right thing. Okay, Sif Katan Chaf Hey V'Hischel. You have to start over if you began the next bracha. Afilu Tevas Atah. Even just the word Atah. V'Hu Adinim Hischel Loimar Nikadesh. Or if you just started Nikadesh. Now, what does that mean, Nikadesh? Oh, you mean if the chazan just began Nikadesh. Now in the Bir Halacha later on he proves in Siman Tav Pei Zayin, he says that it won't help to go back, not like the Pri Megadim, who says that even if you start the next bracha, as long as you didn't say Hashem's name, you could go back. But the Mishabura later on proves once you start the word Atah, you can no longer go back. Now, why if the chazan begins Nikadesh, does he have to go back? So the Rabbi Kiveger says that Kedusha is considered the beginning of Atah Kadosh, because Kedusha is Toisefes Dvarim Beberchas Atah Kadosh. It's not Inyan B'fnei Atzma. You hear this? The lumdus of Kedusha, you hear this is important to understand. When you say Kedusha in the Chazar Sashatz, it's not Inyan B'fnei Atzmai, it's a chelek of the bracha of Atah Kadosh. Yeah? I think it's pashut, but you have to realize that. Meaning, Kedusha is a chelek of Atah Kadosh. Okay. Now, the Mishnah Berurah continues about Makom. The reason why, even if you're towards the end of the bracha, you could just inject Mashrach Mard HaGoshem, because the Chachamim did not establish a place in the bracha. Ela amru stam. They just said stam. Maskirin gevuras geshamim b'tchias hamesim. We mentioned the power of rain in the resurrection of the dead. Rak shenoagu loymar lefnei mechalkel. Just we say it before mechalkel. Why? Shu parnasa ugesham gam kem parnasa ukach be'eza makim sheyizkar sagi. Wherever you mention it's enough. Pashitim niska la'achas sha'amar v'neman atal achiyos mesim. It's pasha. If you remember, after you said v'neman atal achiyos mesim, the tzarch lachser v'loymar v'neman atal achiyos mesim. In other words, if you said v'ne'eman atah lahachiyos mesim, you can't say Masha Baruch HaMaragashem Baruch Atah Hashem. You have to say again v'ne'eman atah lahachiyos mesim. Why? Me'ein chasima samach l'chasima. You need a similar subject matter to the conclusion near the conclusion. What if you didn't do that? The Dirshu brings from the Shal Shuvas Shalom Eshiv, quoted by the Kaf HaChaim. That's interesting that the Kaf HaChaim would quote the Shalom Eshiv, that it's not Ma'akev. Interesting. Va'afilu im siyem, even if you finished Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayeh Mesim, you could still inject there Mach Baruch Margashem. V'chein im niskal achar she'amar Hashem. Let's say you said Baruch Atah Hashem. Do you say Lamdeni Chukecha Mazrach Amargashem Menemen Atalach Yos Mesim Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayah Mesim, or the Mishnah Berurah says no, Yisayim Mechayah Mesim and V'yomer Tekef Mazrach Amargashem. Ella Oimer. Even if you concluded the bracha and you remembered before you began Ata Kadosh, you don't have to go back, but rather you say Masha Baruch Hamard Hagashem. It's best to say it immediately after Mechaye HaMesim. Don't pause. B'loi chasima, meaning you say, you realize you didn't say Masha Baruch Hamar Gashem, so you say Masha Baruch Hamar Gashem, and then you start Ato Kadosh. Let's say you forgot Yalav Yavai. Mamish, Davar Yafa Be'itai. Tomorrow we say Yalav Yavai. It's unbelievable. If for those in Eretz Yisrael, you can be saying Yalav Yavai very soon. Okay? Im Shachach Yalav Yavai, Rosh Chodesh, Shachris, Umincha. V'nizkar la'achar ziyam berachas hamachazir. Let's say you said Baruch Atah Hashem hamachazir shchinasai l'tzion. I have a siddur. I love the siddur. The problem is that it's not very good at giving you like notifications for like Me'ein HaMa'ura. You know, it's like in the art scroll, it's gray, it's like bold, it like jumps at you. In this siddur, it's a great siddur. This is not its good feature. So, especially by Mariv, what if you forget, you forgot to say Yalav Yavai, could you inject it in right before Moedim? See, by Shachris, if you forget during Moedim, you could go back to it. Say, in Marav, you can't even go back. So could you still get it in if you didn't start Moedim? Look what he says. You could get it in. You could say it right there. After the words, Hamachzer Shchinasa L'Tzion, Elokeinu M'Gevosenu, Yalav Yavai, U'Maschel Moedim, U'Kelkaman M'Sim Tav Chavei, Sevav Shekol, Shalei Yizchel B'Brach Shachra, so long as he didn't start the next bracha, then this bracha is not considered completely finished. You hear this? The lamdus is that it's not that I'm saying Yalav Yavai as inyan b'fnei atzmai, or I'm saying Masha Baruch Hamar Gashem as inyan b'fnei atzmai. Since I didn't start the next bracha, I didn't finish the previous bracha. I'm still within the realm of the previous bracha. He brings here from the Stipler that it's not a hefsek between the previous bracha and the next bracha. Aside from the fact you're fixing the previous bracha, it's also a tikkun for the upcoming brachas, because otherwise you won't be yotzei the next brachas. But that's not going to work for Marav. According to this Stipler, l'chayra, this allowance to inject Yalav Yavai would only work for Shachris and Mincha, because it's not a hefsek, because I need to say it for the upcoming brachas. But for Marav, where I don't need to say it for the upcoming brachas, maybe you wouldn't be allowed to say it. But okay, it's a lamdus, but l'maisa, I think you could do it. Right? I think you could do it. And I think the pshat is, it's still a tikkun. Because this lamdus is not going to guide the halacha, but also because it is a tikkun for the upcoming brachas. Just because I don't go back, but it's still a better Shemana Esrei. In other words, my moedim is a better moed. It's a better Shemana Esrei when I say what needed to be said. So the Yalav Yavai helps even for the upcoming brachas. You're right. B'di'eved, I won't go back for the Yalav Yavai, but it's certainly better if I said it. Okay. Kil kaman b'sim tav chav beisef aleph shekol shlo yisel brachos achra lo nikra siyum brachos l'gamri l'inyan kol advarim shal zinu say af al pi shenikra siyum, even though it is a siyum l'inyan dvarim shein machzir no say. Oh no, I'm wrong. He says even it's not a siyum for anything you have to go back for. Even though it is a siyum for things you don't go back for. For example, if you said bracha to Hashem, chonin adas, you do not stick in at chonan tanu. V'yalav yavai be'arvis rosh chodesh, or yalav yavai maravan rosh chodesh. Not like I just said. So that means tonight, if you forgot yalav yavai and you remembered before moedim, you cannot inject it. You cannot inject it. But I'm still holding in moedim. You're not. You finish moedim. I'm sorry. I'm still holding in ritzei. You're done with ritzei. If by shachris I could go back because I'm not done with ritzei, I'm only not done with ritzei legabe those things that if I don't say it, I have to go back. Which, by the way, fits very well into the Stipler's lamdas. Let's go back. The reason why you're allowed to go back. Isn't it a hefsek for the upcoming brachos? It's not, because I need to say this, otherwise I can't say the upcoming brachos. But if I could say the upcoming brachos without making this insertion, I can't make the insertion because it would be a hefsek for the upcoming brachos. Or, who could have made this up? If you don't have emunah after this, v'alanisim mechaniko purim. Can you imagine we're learning Hilchos Mashon Maggid Harakiah, and let's say like this, very common, people forget Al Anisim, and you remember right after Moedim. You remembered right after Moedim. So could you stick in between Moedim and Sim Shalom, Al Anisim Al Porka and Al Grosa choice? No, you can't. You're done. But I didn't say the word Sim yet. Too bad. You can't stick it in. Once you say Baruch Atah Hashem, we'll see at what point you're one and done. You can only stick in Masharach Marda Goshem. You can only stick in Yalav Yavai. Oh, you want to hear a great shaila? What if it's Friday night? And I said Baruch Atah Hashem Mechaye Hamesim. And I realized I didn't say Masharach Marda Goshem. Could I stick in there Masharach Marda Goshem? No. Because Rabbi Kiva Eger says, Friday night, if you miss Masharach Marda Goshem, you don't go back. It's at least a suffix. Misafik, you won't go back, so you couldn't stick in Masharach Marda Goshem there. L'chayra. Could I stick in Yalav Yavai after Ritzei at Mariv? No. Could I stick in Al Anisim after Moedim? No. Could I stick in V'sein Talumat Levracha after Mavarech Hashanim? Or do we say no, because you could stick it in Tishma Keleinu? But L'maisa, if I don't say it, I have to go back. I'm going with you could stick it in. 1 second. I'm not necessarily wrong. I knew I shouldn't have said I'm wrong, I always make these kind of mistakes. V'yesh poiskim shacholkin v'oimrim da'af b'dvarim shemachzir noisoi take of mishasiyam habracha. Some poiskim hold that even things you have to go back right when you finish the bracha. Kamay shehischal bracha acheres damya. Oh, no. Some say that even for things you do have to go back. In other words, you can't, even for, let's say, Yalav Yavai and Masharach Marda Goshem, you can't stick it in. So definitely things that you don't have to go back, you cannot stick in. For things that you do have to go back, it sounds like the Iker Shita is by the way, I just want to point out the din that you could inject by something that Machzir Noisai, which now the Mishnah Berurah is bringing Poskim that disagree, the Mechaber holds you could. The Shulchan Aruch holds you could. Because Shulchan Aruch says explicitly, it's only if you started the next bracha. But if you didn't, you could inject Mashrach Maragashim. Says the Mishnah Berurah in conclusion, Al Kopanim Niroli Lamaisim, Niskar Achash Amar Hashem, if you remembered after you said the Hashem's name. So now here's the Shaila. Should I finish Mechayei Amesim and inject Mashrach Maragashim and rely on the Mechaber? Or should I say Lamdeni Chukecha, then say Mashrach Maragashim, and then say the proper Chasima? No, don't say Mechayei Amesim. Ela Yisayim Lamdeni Chukecha. V'yeh Chekore Pasuk Levad, and you'll be just saying a pasuk. V'dinoi kilu oimed adayin be'emtza bracha. This way you don't have to rely on this trick of the mechaber of sticking in an insertion between Mechayei Amesim and Alter Kadosh. V'choyzer mashrach v'chein ka'agavna b'chol advarim shemachzirno so k'mosh v'ratu b'halacha ayin sham. So basically the Mishnah Berurah, because there are poskim that disagree with sticking in between brachos, if you just said Baruch Atah Hashem, don't finish the bracha and then say Mashrach Maragashim. Say Lamdeni Chukecha, then say Mashrach Maragashim. V'ne'emanat halach yismeisim Baruch Atah Hashem Mechayei Amesim. If I'm not mistaken, not everybody likes this eitzah of Lamdeni Chukecha. Should we see the Bir Halacha quickly? Let's see. You say V'loi Chasima. He says this din lemaisa yesh la'ayin tuva, because the din comes to the Ravya, quoted by the Rosh, that the Marshal argues on it. He passes like Rabbeinu Yoina that once you finish the bracha, you're done. And let's go toward the end of the Bir Halacha, because like I pointed out, even though Achronim challenged this, let's call it the insertion leniency, right? That you could insert things that are ma'akev, you could insert between brachos. The Mechaber holds of it. The Marshal and other Achronim disagree with it. He says in the end of the Bir Halacha, "V'nei after lahachriya neged hashulchan aruch kashamayit." It's very difficult to paskin not like the Shulchan Aruch. Achrei deharbe v'harbe migdol achronim kaimim b'shitas Shulchan Aruch v'yishu b'doichek es kol kusha al shitazu, and they answer all the questions. Al kapanim niroli dim achar sham brachat Hashem nizgar sheshachach matzav ruach lo yigmar habracha ela yisayim lamdeni chukecha kedei sheyia kakari pasuk avad v'yachs matzav ruach v'yigmar kaseder v'uadin b'yalav yava yuchai gavnim shachach v'nizgar Hashem Brachos Hashem Yisayim Lamdeni Chukecha, and then you say Yal V'Yava. And what about Talumatar? Ule'inyan Talumatar Gam Kein Lefiza Nira D'im Shachach La'azkira Be'emtza. If you forgot to mention it and you finished Brachos Hashanim, Mikol Makom Shuv Lo Yomer Kan Talumatar. No injecting there. Don't inject there. You could inject it, you could stick it into Shema Koleinu. So meaning why? But the Mechaber holds you're allowed to inject. Yeah, but now many Achronim disagree. So for Yalav Yavai, you could be Samech on it. For Mashrach Maragashim, you could be Samech on it. But don't be Samech on it for the same Talamat Devracha, because there's another Eitzah. What if you said Baruch Atah Hashem? Should you end off Lamdeni Chukecha V'sein Talamata Levracha Baruch Atah Hashem Mevarech Hashem? Says Reb Chaim, no, don't do that either, because you can rely on Shema Koleinu. But what if you're afraid you're going to forget in Shema Koleinu? L'chayr, you still shouldn't do it. So injecting works for something that there's no other alternative. But if there's another alternative, you should not inject. So Atachan Antanu, you can't inject because it's not ma'akev. Alanisim, you can't inject because it's not ma'akev. V'sein talamata avracha, you can't inject because you could do it later. I'm going to end off with one kasha. The kasha, the bir halacha, and siman kuf peiches. Let's say a person said, Baruch Ato Hashem, boinei barachamav yishalayim amen, and he realized that he forgot Ritzei or Yalav Yavai. What's the halacha? So there's something you could inject there. There's a special nusach that they were masakein, that nobody knows it by heart. Baruch Ato Hashem, Asher Nasan Shabbosos Lemnucha La'amo Yisrael Bevris, something like that. Baruch Ato Hashem Kadesh HaShabbos. Let's say you don't know that, and you're using one of these benches. They don't have it. Why can't you rely on the Shulchan Aruch injection rule? Say Ritzei right there, or Yalav Yavai right there. That's the Bir Halacha's kasha. By the way, you can't do that. You can't do that. Either know the nusach, get a normal bencher. No, you decided to use this like special, custom bencher that you got at a wedding that has a picture of the chas and kala on there from the time they're 2 years old with a blow-up thing. The only thing is it doesn't have benching in it. So you cannot do that. And the Beir Halacha asks why. Yeah? Okay. And I'll end off with an interesting kasha on Chanukah. We have a special tefillah. If you forget Alanisim, you get to daven Hashem Harachaman Yasalanu Nisim V'Neflois K'Moshe Asis Amasein B'Yom HaZanazah. Basically, it's the only time the whole year you're allowed to ask for a miracle. So it's not fair. I remembered to say Alanisim, and I'm not allowed to ask for a miracle. This guy was spacing out during Brachos HaMezon. He's allowed to ask for a miracle? You can only ask for a miracle if you're spacing out. And what if you bench properly? Then you can never ask for miracles? I have a good answer for that, but it's very late. Kol Tover.